Hi, didn't see you there. My name's Maggie and I'm a Lakes Region Conservation Corps member serving here at the Squam Lakes Association. Well, school's out, the sun is hot, and camping season is in full swing. So let's talk about something that can make or break your camping experience and the site that you're camping at. Firewood. Did you know that firewood is one of the best ways for invasive species to spread across an area? An invasive species is a plant, animal, or fungi that is introduced to an area where it's not originally from, and then usually they wreak havoc. Invasive species are typically adapted for lots of different environments, and so they do really well in a lot of different types of areas. Whereas native species are typically only adapted for a specific set of conditions that aren't found in a lot of areas, and they tend not to do so well in areas where these conditions aren't met. So for that reason, it's really easy for invasive species to take over an area and use up all the resources, and then the native wildlife isn't left with enough food, water, or space to thrive and grow. The presence of an invasive species can lower the biodiversity, or the amount of different types of life that we find in a habitat. And typically, the lower amount of biodiversity, the more unhealthy an ecosystem is. According to the National Wildlife Federation, invasive species are among the top threats to native wildlife in the nation. And aside from damaging ecosystems, invasive species can also be a threat to human health, and they do a lot of damage to our economy through agriculture, property damage, and some other things. So how does firewood contribute to the spread of invasive species? Well, have you ever pulled back the bark on a piece of wood or a tree stump? Chances are you'll see a handful of bugs, grubs, and fungus. Ever heard of the emerald ash borer? Wood-boring insects will bore into a tree cavity and then they'll stay there even after the tree has been cut, split, and bundled to use as campfire wood, and they have plenty of opportunities to jump ship before they get to the fire pit. So, for example, if I wanted to go camping in New Hampshire, but I brought firewood from my hometown in New York, there's a good chance that I could introduce the Asian longhorn beetle, which is an invasive species that is rampant in New York State, but we have not yet found here in New Hampshire. And I run the risk of releasing that insect every time I open my car door to get gas, some last-minute snacks from the store, and of course, when I'm hiking out to my campsite. You might even notice that bugs will crawl out of your fire pit after you've already lit a fire. Where do you think those bugs came from? The wood. And it's even easier for diseases from fungal spores to spread this way as well, because all it takes is the blow of a wind in the right direction. Blight has been responsible for the demise of tons of species across the nation, including the American chestnut, which is a tree that is now considered functionally extinct in the United States. These are just a few popular examples that you may have heard of, but there are many, many more species that we need to be concerned about. So the best weapon that we have against any type of invasive species is prevention. Once an invasion takes root in an area, it is exceedingly difficult to get it under control. And sometimes conservationists, well, we can't get it under control, and our ecosystems are never the same after that. But there are simple steps that you can take to make sure that you're not contributing to the spread of invasive species. And one of those steps is to simply buy local firewood. All but 5 states in the US have regulations put in place to make sure that non-local firewood isn't crossing state and even county lines. And most areas have firewood quarantines where firewood is heat treated to eliminate the threat of any sneaky hitchhikers in that wood. And if you're caught moving untreated, non-local wood across these quarantine areas, you will face a hefty fine. So, to save money, car space, and the places that you love to camp at, buy your wood from the same town that you intend to camp in. It won't be hard to find. Most gas stations sell approved wood, and a lot of local residents also split and bundle their own wood and sell it at the ends of their driveways. So remember, when you're buying local wood, you're doing local good. Join us again soon for another Share Learn adventure to learn about all of the great New Hampshire ecosystems that we have.